Star Wars' next movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, is going to reveal just how much the sequel trilogy missed the mark, and even then, it may not be enough to resolve the issues the sequel movies created. The Mandalorian and Grogu is the next release of Star Wars' upcoming movies, with a May 22, 2026, release date. Details about The Mandalorian and Grogu remain fairly sparse, although the first trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu did provide some hints about what this brand new story will include. So far, we know that The Mandalorian and Grogu is a continuation of the show The Mandalorian, and, like the show, it will be set in the New Republic era. This point in the Star Wars timeline, between the original and sequel trilogies, will prove particularly interesting because this was expected to be the focus of the sequels, but wasn't, and because the sequels have limited what the movie can do. Partly for these reasons, The Mandalorian and Grogu is about to shed more light upon the issues with the sequel trilogy than ever. We're finally getting to SEE the New Republic era. Colonel Ward, Sigourney Weaver, holds a bowl of snacks away from Grogu and levels him with a look. When Disney bought Star Wars, stories set after Return of the Jedi, such as in the novels and the comics, were relegated to legends. This meant that Star Wars canon had yet to define what the period following the original trilogy looked like for the galaxy and for the franchise's greatest heroes. This cleared a path for the sequel movies to do just about anything, and many were expecting that to mean two things: a brand new Jedi Order and a new Republic. Unfortunately, neither was quite true. In terms of the former, Luke Skywalker was revealed to have lost his Jedi Temple and all his Padawan learners and gone into hiding. Regarding the latter, in Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the New Republic is effectively wiped out, thereby skipping over any exploration of that system. In fact, 30 years pass between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, during which the New Republic was built, but we never see how that happened or what that looked like in the sequels. It is only now, in The Mandalorian and Grogu, that we will see this period and, presumably, this government explored on the big screen. In the trailer alone, we've seen Din Djarin and Grogu alongside Sigourney Weaver's character, a New Republic colonel. What's more, the trailer contains some truly surprising images, such as the return of AT-AT walkers. An AT-AT walker exploding in the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, shot from below. These revelations alone confirm that we are about to see just how flawed the sequel trilogy really was, because The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be everything the sequels should have been. That is, seeing how the galaxy picked up the pieces following the fall of the Empire, especially given the Imperial remnant that lingered, still loyal to the Empire, will be fascinating. Even in the brief glimpses we've gotten so far on the small screen, such as in Ahsoka Season 1, it's been compelling to see the ways the New Republic navigated flaws and infighting, and just how much the Empire wasn't really gone at all. The Mandalorian and Grogu even seems primed to reveal a shadow empire, working to rebuild in the background. If true, this only spells more trouble for the sequel trilogy because, whereas The Mandalorian and Grogu will be exploring the logical next step in the galaxy's history, the sequels went rather far afield, introducing a host of new concepts and characters, such as the First Order and Supreme Leader Snoke, while making controversial decisions like Luke being in exile. We're finally seeing Star Wars expand beyond the OT. Grogu and Din Djarin hiding behind a sand dune in the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Even when thinking about The Mandalorian and Grogu building upon Return of the Jedi's conclusion, this movie is better positioned than the sequel trilogy to move the franchise forward. Despite decisions like Luke's exile and killing off all three original trilogy heroes, the sequel trilogy was doomed in part because it was too dependent upon the original trilogy. This was true even in The Force Awakens, which was accused of being a thinly-veiled copy of A New Hope, and it only became more apparent when Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker made a sharp left turn and brought the original big bad of Star Wars, Emperor Palpatine, back from the dead to fill in as the villain. The Mandalorian and Grogu won't have that problem, for myriad reasons. For one, this is already a movie that has set itself apart in terms of its story and its characters. After all, The Mandalorian isn't about the Jedi, the Skywalkers, or even the Force, it's about Din Djarin, a Mandalorian, and his, eventually, adopted son, Grogu. Even when Luke Skywalker had a cameo in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, and Luke, Din, and Grogu returned in the Book of Boba Fett, it was clear that Din Djarin and Grogu's story was separate from the Skywalkers and the Jedi, especially considering Grogu directly chose to reject that path. Because of that, The Mandalorian and Grogu will be far from the original trilogy's shadow and won't feel beholden to or reliant upon characters, stories, and touchpoints from the original trilogy in the same way that the sequel movies were. This also means this new movie can explore the New Republic era with considerably more freedom. The Mandoverse will always be overshadowed by the sequel trilogy. Emperor Palpatine on Exegol in Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. All of this bodes well for the Mandalorian and Grogu, but the real shame is, there's only so much the Mandalorian and Grogu can do before it runs into the roadblocks laid down by the sequel trilogy. Realistically, there's not all that much time between the Mandalorian and Grogu and The Force Awakens. The exact year in which the Mandalorian and Grogu is set is unknown, but it's somewhere within the 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. This leaves Star Wars little time to reveal a Shadow Empire opposing the New Republic, identify how the lingering Imperials were destroyed, and initiate the rise of the First Order. There's also the hard truth that, no matter what happens in this movie, the facts of the sequel trilogy can't be changed. No, it won't be decanonized. That means, among other things, this all ends in Palpatine's return. Because of that, the Mandalorian and Grogu is sadly limited in terms of what it can do on a larger scale.